Japanese, this is Sambo. The main difference is right here. There's a hole, the belt goes through the hole. That means in this one I can pull it out, or I can defend it, any technique getting out. In this, when it is in, this is a connection, I don't beat nothing else. That would be a flight right from there. So it's inseparable from a human being. That's the main difference. So Sambo originated from this. In 1920s, the guy, Russian guy who was a student of Jigaro Kano, who is the father of judo, skipped back to Russia, and he was the only 16th personal loved student of Jigaro. And he originated Sambo, which Sambo is eclectic of many different types, not based on judo, but looks similar to judo. There's no chokes, and we can break legs to submission. The pins are 4 points only, which is not much. You need 12 to win. 12 different. In judo, pin is that's the end of it. There are chokes. You cannot touch legs. That's the major difference. And in 1920s as well, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu form, which is also eclectic sport, similar to Sambo. You can do anything with legs. Submissions are okay, and you can choke. So it's kind of a mix between Sambo and Judo. The interesting thing that all of that stuff, all of these types of wrestling originated exactly in 1920, 1922. For example, you might have heard of Aikido. Also a student of Jigaro Kano skipped, said enough of this, I want clear art. And Aikido was created as a separate sport. So it was a strange time, but now that's the history of it. In Russia, the Sambo was adopted by KGB-like agencies as a way to disable people, physically destroy them. And then it was adopted by the army, like special forces. They will study Sambo style, which is a mixture of sport, but designed with a minimal connection to go through the human being and to meet another one. So it's like military style. Everything is possible there, and you can see a glimpse of that in UFC type of situation. So that's a brief history for you. Now, what I wanted to touch though is the major difference between stuff you might know, freestyle or folk style, whatever, and Sambo. In freestyle, as much as I understand, the body is the target. I don't care where the hands are, but I need this part. In Sambo, this, I don't need nothing else. So limb is the target. Right? Even though we do have all of that freestyle stuff, but it kind of aged out in favor of low connection. So that would be pretty much the situation. I would attack and win from this connection. That's all I need.
And in wrestling, you just grab the wrist. And most of them are wrestlers. So.
Yeah, the stuff I will show you is convertible back and forth. You know, I will go over how to easily translate it from one sport to another. But major difference is I will be working right from here, and body will follow the limb. Okay. The same goes about the hand. In freestyle, that's your time. You move right here. You know, legs with it. That's a major difference. The interesting to me, my experience, opposite to your experience, dealing with the freestyle people. We have a lot of them, you know. You probably heard a lot of Russian Southern Republic. They started from 8 to forever, and every boy should go through freestyle wrestling, including Sambo, like this, you know. But to my experience, the freestyle people, even though like super fast and really super agile, they were losing to Sambo. They never got even to the finals usually because they were too fast and they didn't see the danger in this. So that's a major kind of psychological difference. But I'm doing it for a really long time, and now I think I understand the physical reason for the whole kind of sets of the techniques. Let's say in Japan, when people study, they just follow the rule. They will do this move 1,000 times. After that, they think, or it is understood that they learn the technique, 1,000 repetitions. Then they switch to another. They never think why they're doing it. They just like blind copying whatever they're told, no thoughts allowed. That's Korokan, that's a school. So whatever you think, we don't care, just do what you do. In Sambo, thinking is needed because it's eclectic.
I had communion, so it's all right.
Every technique can be modified, like all national Georgian, Russian, old Russian style. They were incorporated in the Sambo. So you need to think how to modify it to apply the technique. And so now I understand that there is a reason for the technique. So techniques is not just invented, you know, it's just a result of a deep analysis or deep experience of how human body is built. Psychological stuff is important as well. But for example, there are 2 bones here and 1 bone here. And let's see what's going on. When we shake hands, the position of the thumb is the most convenient one. And look the range, how limited we are. Watch. Oh, thumb is down, the elbow is starting to move. Okay, thumb is in, elbow is moving. So from here to here, right? I know, it's 90 degrees of freedom we have. And we never think about it. And for example, oh, that would be jiu-jitsu or entrance in freestyle. It's just, there is a guarantee that if thumb is facing down, the elbow will be facing up. So all breaks will be done. I don't need to know where the elbow is. I just watch the thumb and elbow will fall. So physiology dictates all of the techniques, really. And it's never thought of as the origin of the technique. You know, people, how do you study your stuff? You just come, your teacher will tell you, well, this is how it's done. You follow. You don't even start thinking or ask yourself questions. Why people fall? What's going on? About psychology, there is a good, I think, balance, no balance situation. To put someone out of balance, that's a goal in Japanese judo, for example, as well. So it's called kuzushi, the pulling or pushing someone out of balance. Watch, the full connection is here. Heel and toes are touching together, right? If I will pull your head down, right, you will be staying on this, it's considered. If I will pull it up, you're moving to your hips. So position of the head is determining, even if involuntarily, if you don't want, you will be following, you know, changing of that position. So this is Japanese style. Oh, that's the end of the match. One step. And this is classical Japanese. In Sambo, 2 steps, that's also the end of it. So it's really, really brief. And when I was competing at the top of my physical abilities. It was about 8 to 10 seconds length of the match. It's brief. One mistake like that, that's it. That's it. Now, I want to show you a couple of things which might be interesting because they can be easily translated to freestyle. Right. So about balance, no balance. Since we're dynamic systems, we don't really have such a thing. We are not like that when we're fighting. So, out of balance, you adjust automatically. So it should be analyzed slightly different. Since we're humans, everything is controlled right here. So my major enemy is not here, yeah, it's right inside.
If all you gotta do is go against what's in that range, you won.
Sometimes it's the way to do it. So psychology, I will just touch it and I will show you a couple of things. For example, answer me a simple, stupid question. How many dimensional human being is? 3-dimensional or 2-dimensional? What do you think? What's the answer? 2-dimensional or 3? Wrong. We're simple, stupid crabs walking on the plane surface of the bottom of the air. Okay. All our major movements, which are incorporated in fighting or wrestling or whatever, are flat, 2-dimensional. Really, our perception is 3-dimensional. Right? But our movements, automatic control movements, are 2-dimensional, and I can prove that in about 1 second. So that's how we walk. You can crocodile. So shoulder comes in, knee follows. Shoulder comes in, knee follows. We don't think, but that's the automatic subroutine, which is everybody inside of everybody's head. We learn it since we start learning walking, and we don't ignore it nor forget it. So, for example, if I need to step from that leg, right, what do? Watch, I want this to come here. Or if I pull, watch what's happening. If you don't want to go, you will be just sitting down. Why? No walking. I need walking. I don't need competition. Okay. So, what am I to do? I need to move shoulder. An automatic system will put the knee under it. That's a step. Watch, I didn't really pull. I moved myself. And that's a step, which I need. That's your field of expertise. Right. And more to it, interesting thing that once movement started, for example, I'm giving him an order to step in. He performs. Okay? Come back. The important thing is he cannot interrupt this automatic subroutine. He cannot, in the mid-air, come back without completing it. All right? Now, about 2-dimensional or 3-dimensional. Have you ever seen mimes, which, like, with 2 hands, will show you a flat surface, and you memorize it? He does this, and you memorize it. Like, you see the difference. This is a glass wall, and he does something else behind it, You imagine this glass wall easily. But third dimensional, we don't see immediately. For example, if there is a connection, right, and I show this wall, that's a wall, that's a distance, you can touch it. And I will add third dimension. That's the end of the match. This walking. You see that? That's the wall. And I'm adding 1 dimension. People ignore it. They don't have personal opinion. You see that? Imagine you're pushing yourself on the wall and then it disappears. You fall. Because your automatic systems have no time to adjust and they adjust in the wrong way, they're causing you fall. Right? You need to complete the motion, this little step, just because automatically in your head they should be here. You have no personal control over it, right? And all I need to do is interrupt it. That's Coach Igari, Japanese. First technique, the judo. Interrupted step, not completed automatic movement. That's what it is. Or I can create the need for this automatic step and then block it before it happens. That's the second sweep. So technically, I'm fooling around with his two-dimensional system. I am built the same way, but I know how to employ it in such a way that he will be always late in reaction, and his reaction will cause him to fall, actually to jump on the ground. I'm not lifting. When there is a, let's say, Ushimata, Japanese technique, which is employable, rarely used in freestyle, super beautiful, easy to convert. But I need him to be on this leg. His weight should be on this leg. If I will be pulling, he is sitting down. That's classic. That's what you see in competition. This is wrong. All I need to do is move the shoulder where I want the leg to be. So all my entrance is this, and it translates into another thing. Watch. I'm showing him a flat wall, two-dimensional wall, knee. He feels it. And then I add third dimension. No pulling needed. You see that? It's just, I'm causing his reaction to work against him. Or other things. I'm using the stuff he forgot about, that he has two bones in his head, by doing this. And then I'm not letting elbow to rise. This is a submission. It's the end of the fight. Because when these two bones are close or touching each other, that's the most painful experience human have. And automatically they will be on the knee, because this is the only situation where he doesn't feel the pain. Move left to right, he cannot. So this is a military application. They break. Or another thing.
Anyway, can I,
Yes.
the two you did with falling and doing a foot sweep and Asagari,
Ushima.
Ushimata.
Ushikari. How so you do it?
But can you show them the setup and let them drill it and see if they've got it?
Yeah.
Right?
I will be. This is the end of my talk, really. So we will be working.
Okay.
I will make it. I'll put you to work.
Okay.
But I just want to briefly touch a couple of things where a human being can be destroyed by himself, by his own automatic systems, which are too late, and because of that, they're reacting against them. For example, nowadays the fight starts. That's the beginning of the fight in Sambo Judo. In Judo, we'd never do this. We only bow. In Sambo, you have to touch the hand, then you can do whatever. But that's the situation. And then what's happening next? That's the fight lost already. Watch what's happening. Interrupt. Movement. Then arm. This is important. It's the end of it. But in addition to that, this is like studying the speed. The fighting speed is this one. It's like karate. This type of. But see the result. That's the step. That's the last step in the fight. I didn't move. Slowly. And that's where my hand goes. Now, this is relaxed. This is in judo, I would be choking him right here, standing, or breaking this. That's a submission. So what I want you to carry out of this class, these couple of moves which you can employ in wrestling to set up to really destroy or predict or deny the defense completely. For example, if there is a hit, right, that's a natural reaction. Block is another. Okay. But what if I, instead of reacting, predict that? You see that? So it doesn't mean anything, but he cannot not finish it. Right? So even he sees my hand, he will be still trying to reach me, setting himself really down, back to this situation. Right? And now my hand is traveling to this shoulder, and watch what's happening. This is Steven Seagal, or Aikido. That's the end of the fight. When his head started to turn about 90 degrees, he already doesn't know where he is. Seriously, you will get this feeling immediately when you try. So after this situation, that's the end of it. I don't need to see who is stronger, who is weaker. I just deny him ability to use his abilities. And the difference between, let's say, why Sambo so easily was converted into combat Sambo or military application. This is sport. This is military. Position of the hand. And the final goal. Okay, so what I want to do is, like, we'll pair up. I will show you a couple of simple things and we'll start there. Let's start with this one. Interruption. What happens